Cyber Uncut. Discover the changing face of business, government and national security as Australia navigates the cyber revolution.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are listening, whether that's good or bad, to the Cyber Uncut podcast. Welcome to the show. My name is David Hollingworth. I am the Deputy Editor of Cyber Daily. I am joined by my wonderful colleague, Daniel Croft. How you doing?
Pretty good. We've just been to the pub.
Oh, you went? That's the quiet part out loud.
No, I think it's best to disclose.
Actually, it is best to disclose that.
Yeah.
We are recording this on Wednesday, the 1st of April. Just saying now, there are 0 April Fool's jokes in this podcast.
Yes.
Even though one story will sound like it is an April Fool's joke.
Yes, our sister brands are running April Fool's jokes. We do not joke here. This is all serious.
It's a very serious business here in cyber. We're recording on Wednesday because tomorrow is the last day in the office, and of course Friday is a day off. So we've got a compressed week of news, but it's still a lot of news, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's been a busy week, and we've got some really, really good stories.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I want to expand on. England's largest bank, they're going hard into AI data engineering.
They are. Yeah. So they've just entered into a program with the University of Glasgow. Love Scotland.
It's a great place.
So the program, which they've just entered into, will take place over a 4-year period, and it'll explore how AI can be used for data and software engineering. So Dr. Tim Storer of the University of Glasgow's School of Computing Science said, agentic-driven software engineering is a fast-developing sector with the potential to enable human engineers to work more efficiently by automating some tasks and allowing them to focus their skills on higher-level work. However, there's been relatively little research in industry on how integrating agentic AI into software engineering practices can be done effectively in large-scale organizations. So, pretty much, the university is getting kind of a training element out of this, while Lloyds is kind of exploring how AI can be implemented within its own network and its own systems. So, university researchers get the opportunity to study agentic AI development and transformation on a really large scale. Now, granted, this is the largest digital bank in the UK. It's a Big Four bank. Liam, our colleague, our boss, compared it to Combank here.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah,
that's the way to kind of compare it. While Lloyds gets to kind of study its own implementation of agentic AI. It's already doing it for software engineering and customer service. This is going to explore further how it does it for software engineering, which to me is kind of the next step that companies seem to be taking with agentic AI.
Yeah.
We saw this massive wave of let's use agentic AI for responding to customers and customer service. Combank, I know we keep calling you out. It was shocking.
It was. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. We got to call that one.
Not great. But Lloyds is now looking at how it's going to be used for software engineering, which is, I think the next step.
We have some very pro AI coding, AI engineering people here in the office.
We do.
Not going to name anyone by name. You know who you are.
Yeah.
And they're convinced that it's the next big thing. It's the next great thing. I've got a very close friend who's a game developer, and they're starting to explore what AI coding can do for them in terms of their own code.
Yeah.
And I'm now starting to see people who for years have been AI is the devil.
Yeah.
Well, AI is neutral. It's like a firearm.
Well,
it's like it's how you use it, how you make use of it, how it's deployed, and whether or not it's done for the right reason.
It's one of those things where if AI is a hammer, right?
Yep.
It's about who wields that hammer. You can either have someone build something brilliant, or you can have someone bash someone's head in.
And the question is, if it's a hammer, who are the nails? Are the nails the problems you're trying to solve, or the staff you're trying to get rid of?
Exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, look, a great example of vibe coding gone bad. It was the Reddit clone. I forget the name of, where it was a social media giant. Giant social media platform for AI. Agentic AI.
Oh, yeah.
I forget its name. We've mentioned it on the podcast. Maltbook.
Yep.
That was a great example of vibe coding got wrong. It exposed the details of many users, and also revealed that there's no way to just kind of differentiate between human users and agentic AI users.
Yeah.
So, look, studying data engineering using AI is probably a really, really good idea, to be honest, because you want to get it right. Vibe coding has issues.
I maintain that AI, as it stands with all of its flaws, is still a useful tool for the right use cases.
I agree. I think in 90% of use cases that we see currently, it's not good. But I think the little guy who's using it to bolster his business or their business, typically is doing it without causing any harm. It's when you see companies like
Atlassian,
who recently cut 1,600 staff.
Oracle's doing it as well. Today they've announced we're not writing about this yet because it's just like too much for two people to cover. Oracle has laid off thousands again, so they can invest in AI. They have no idea what return's going to be yet.
Atlassian's first staff cuts, they didn't even blame AI. They did in the second one. But Atlassian is one of the companies being hit hardest by this.
I know, right? And going back to that Oracle thing, the layoffs done by email at 6 a.m.
Atlassian's the same.
You know what? I've got to say this. Part of me is like, you wake up, it's like, I don't want to go to work. Look at phone. Don't have to go to work. Back to bed. There are days when I would welcome that.
And then you wake up at midday and go, I guess I'm eating 2-minute noodles for the rest of my life.
Cool.
No, but Atlassian, Mike Cannon-Brookes, the CEO, based on reports that we reported on this, lost $1 billion, overnight. Their share price has dropped, I think, 90%, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's in that ballpark.
It was a large amount.
They've lost a lot. But they're still bullish on AI.
I know,
we have gone on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
You're actually working on an AI article as we speak. Isn't that correct? So let's get ahead of that because it may be published today. It may be published tomorrow.
It'll be published directly after this. So Anthropic has, the guys that market themselves as the ethical AI. They do kind of. Has been the first AI giant to join Australia's national AI plan.
It's interesting. You mentioned they consider themselves the ethical AI. They're the ones who said to the Pentagon, no, we actually don't like your rules of AI engagement. We don't find them safe. So maybe they are, for values of ethical, the most ethical AI company there is.
It's about like which dagger would you rather stab yourself with, to be honest. I think a little bit.
I'd like to be run over by that car instead of that car.
So they're the first AI giant to join the National AI Plan. They entered into a non-binding agreement. It was a memorandum of understanding.
An MOU.
And it will share its economic data with the government to detect how AI is being harnessed within the Australian economy, assist in AI education, and team up with Australian health researchers. So all good stuff.
Also, that's really interesting because none of those says we're rolling out our AI into the infrastructure of government.
No, it doesn't.
It's just we're bringing our expertise to let you know how you can use AI.
Well, the National AI Plan kind of outlines Australia's rules of engagement on AI. It kind of talks about a lot of, regulation and things like that. So they aren't going to be going out and saying, let's stick AI here and here and here and here. They're going to be like, here's how we're going to do it ethically. Here's how we should be the AI that you use because we are ethical. In my mind, anyway, that's how it's working. So, Minister for Industry and Innovation and Minister for Science, Tim Ayres, said this MOU sends a clear signal to Australians that we are open for business where investment aligns with Australia's priorities and Australian values. The Australian government and Anthropic are working together to harness AI responsibly, securing investment into Australia's energy grid, driving economic resilience and safety for all Australians. This MOU will drive progress under the National AI Plan, launched by the Albanese Labor government last year, and will strengthen Australia's position as an attractive place to invest. Now, talking about an attractive place to invest, Anthropic, like OpenAI and, all the others, has had issue with Australia in the past because we have solid copyright law. Now we talked a lot about the stuff in the UK where they were talking about like if you've got copyrighted work, AI gets access to it.
Yeah.
The UK, I'm pretty sure, has reversed that, which is nice.
Yeah.
But Australia, when that was all happening, came out and said, no, we're standing by copyright law.
Yep.
If you're a creative, you are a content creator of any kind, you develop something, it doesn't matter. You are entitled to your copyright.
Yeah.
Now, AI obviously wants copyright law gone because it means they can train on things that are copywritten. And Australia has stood by copyright. This is great. Anthropic has previously said that this makes Australia an unattractive place to invest.
Oh.
However, Anthropic is probably not doing a lot of kind of deals in the US at the moment
Yeah.
post that Pentagon deal.
Yeah.
Because,
So you think they're coming here?
yes, I think that they're looking for investment elsewhere. Because Trump labeled Anthropic as a supply chain risk, which childish and stupid because they're not. But I think they're going...
No, I hate this because now I'm thinking, so if Anthropic is all about pillaging copyrighted material and getting some value of English-speaking knowledge, they're not going to go to Europe because they've got GDPR. They've got all these things where they're probably going to be... Australia may seem like a really good market to take advantage of, and maybe we're ascribing some negative outcomes.
I think we
here.
might be, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Australia might be the easiest to convince to ditch that kind of legislation. Because
Australia is a bit of a latecomer in terms of AI adoption. We're doing it rapidly, but not rapidly enough, according to some research.
OpenAI literally laid out a plan for Australia's AI investment. So CEO, Chief Executive of Anthropic, Dario Amodei, I believe is his name, is due to meet, I believe, today with Anthony Albanese and our Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, at Parliament House.
Yeah.
And one of the points of discussion is copyright law. That's what it's believed to be anyway.
Fly on the wall.
Yeah, I would love to. I really, really would. The Labor Party has previously talked about their stance on copyright law and has said we are going to back copyright legislation. And Minister for Science, Technology and the Digital Economy, Andrew Charlton, has said that AI needs to work for the Australian people. He's maintained that message even today, saying Labor is committed to ensuring AI works for the Australian people and not the other way round.
And yet we have these Australian companies laying off people in favour of AI. So
yeah, well, it's not really working for Australian people, is it?
No, it really isn't. No.
He said Australia needs technology partners who share our values and are committed to supporting our national interests. And this agreement is a positive step in that direction.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, because Anthropic, as far as, their kind of footprint in Australia, it's lesser than, say, your OpenAI.
Yeah.
Or your Google, because OpenAI has offices in Sydney now.
Yep.
As far as I'm aware, Anthropic doesn't. But, you got to start
Now's
somewhere.
their time, yeah.
Now's their time. It'll be really interesting to see how this develops.
I mean, look, this is an ongoing story. Of course, we'll come back to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And at the moment, it's so much conjecture. And a lot of it's informed by the fact that you and I are deeply, deeply suspicious of these companies.
We are, yeah. Absolutely. AI is definitely a tool that I think can work for people.
And we use.
But the people it's working for are typically the people who make it, who have lots and lots of money.
Who are already invested.
And we're the ones with the money they want.
On that note, we are going to take a short break and we'll be back right away. And we are back on the Cyber Uncut podcast. It may not sound like it, but that was a long break because I needed to run to the bathroom.
Yeah, it might have been a sudden cutoff there, I think.
It would be a very sudden cutoff. It's reasons. All right, we are back with crimes.
We are back with crimes.
I'm going to start with something. We were talking about this in the office today. I was writing this story, and it felt like the more I wrote it, and I did try and to write a little bit of entertainment into it. A lot of what we write about at Cyber Daily, for one reason or another, is pretty grim. So you try and find your entertainment where you can. And as I'm writing this one, it sounded like I'm writing an April Fool's Day joke. It's not.
No, this is real.
No, this is real. LockBit, our old friends at LockBit, who are now
been so long.
Not 3.0 anymore, not 4.0. They're
not
now
LockBit Green, which a colleague of mine said
LockBit Green.
LockBit Green's the next thing, and I think it was supposed to be.
And
you know this colleague.
Yeah.
He was like, that's what's next.
Nope, it's now LockBit 5.0.
The big old 5.
You know what they're coming for? Our toys.
They are.
Our teddy bears.
Do they know no hesitance.
They're coming after our bears.
Yeah.
LockBit have allegedly hacked Charlie bears. If you don't know Charlie bears, I'm vaguely familiar because I think I've seen them in shopping centers. These are a customizable bear company. They release bears which are unique. They're a one-time kind of thing. It's like, what are the little troll things that the cool kids...
Troll dolls?
Not troll dolls.
Labubu's.
Labubu's. It's like Labubu's for people with probably even more money.
I never thought I was going to be talking about Labubu's on this
Here we are.
podcast.
Yeah. Oh, God, where to go? They've been hacked by LockBit. And I discovered something really interesting today. Something that both Dan and I do when we get access to a stolen data set is trying to work out what data is in there.
Yeah.
So you'll get a file list and you'll search for something. You want to look for things like passwords, credit cards, passports.
Yeah.
So I'm like searching for passports. There are so many passports in... They're passports for teddy bears. Apparently, these teddy bears are sold with passports, which give you their history and background and name.
Do they have
because
like
they're all...
owner details? Like, the
I don't
first
think so.
name of the child?
I don't. As far as I can tell, there's actually no real customer data involved.
That's good.
In this leak.
That's really
There
good.
is, however, probably some employee data.
Yeah.
We're looking at timesheets. We're looking at sign-on sheets.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And as much as we might laugh, it is kind of funny that a teddy bear shop got hacked. Actually, when I say that out loud, it is actually kind of hilarious and really, really strange. Imagine you're this Russian cyber criminal and it's like, where are we in, Vasily? The teddy bear store.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Putin's going to be very, very upset with that one. They appear to have stolen around 23 gigabytes of data.
Okay.
And it looks legitimate from what I've seen. Unfortunately, at time of recording this, Charlie Bears has not come back to me. But I think it's a really interesting chance to talk about LockBit in its current incarnation.
Yeah.
Long listeners of the show will know that they've been through ups and downs.
Well,
From the number one, when you and I first started,
they
LockBit were the shiz.
They were the threat actor.
Yeah.
When we first started, it was LockBit 2?
3, I think.
Or 3?
Might have been 2 originally, but I think 3 was the main one.
Yeah, we covered 3 the most, but I believe it was 2.0 originally.
Yeah.
But they've gone through maybe 4 or 5 government takedowns. The funniest of the lot was
and they're all hilarious because it's not just takedowns, they're going after each other.
Yeah.
Legal authorities around the world actively trolling the hackers by replicating their leak site online.
Well, these guys are pretty much hackers on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Like they know how this part of the web works. When I remember the big one, it was I think it was the end of LockBit 3.
Yep.
It might have been where there was an FBI seizure, and all of where you'd usually see listings on the site became countdown timers for information about the group. And this was, I believe, run by the FBI. There was Europol and the AFP and, everyone was involved in this. And it was like, all right, come back in, 16 hours, which you'd usually see for a countdown for, data leak. It was data about the group. And it was like, that is the most kind of tongue-in-cheek, sassy way to do this. But they had a number of takedowns. I think, in probably a year, we haven't really heard much from them.
Yep.
Because they just kept getting hassled by law enforcement. But apparently they're back. And the first place they're going for, this Russian group is going after the bear.
I mean, okay, it took me a while to get that one. That's
yeah.
That was smooth. That was
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I appreciate that one. It's wild. I mean, this illustrates absolutely the opportunistic way these guys operate.
Yeah.
They're scanning for vulnerabilities,
Yep.
or they're mass emailing phishing emails, or doing some way to basically throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And in this instance, what stuck is a teddy bear company.
And that's the thing. These guys, it's important to remember that these guys aren't targeting.
No.
They're going after the path of least resistance,
Yeah.
which in this case was a teddy bear shop.
Yeah. To give a bit of scale here, LockBit 3.0 back in the day, 2,000 victims in like a couple of years. 2,000.
That's crazy. When you think of groups like Quillen, who are like unbelievable, they have, I believe, 1,600 roughly.
Yeah. LockBit,
They were prolific.
They were the deal. However, LockBit 5.0, since it started up, I believe, late last year, 200 victims, which is
Hey, that's
yeah.
respectable is not the right
And
word.
Charlie Bears is one of, I think, 6 victims they did in one day.
Okay.
And because of the vagaries of the way our threat intelligence platforms gather data, there was just sudden hit of like 30 LockBit victims dropped
Yeah.
at once, but they were over the span of like 2 weeks, probably because their site was down.
Yeah. Classic.
But yeah, LockBit's last Australian victim was the Aeromedical Society of Australasia. Well, that's serious, and now it's teddy bears.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not important who the victim is. If they've got money, they want it.
No, you've hit the nail there on the head. If they think someone would rather pay than be listed on their leak site, absolutely. But yeah, look, it's a kind of funny story. It's a kind of sad story at the same time. But it's also not the only crimes we are talking about today.
No.
What's your on radar? What's your on radar? What's on your radar?
Well, let's go back to Lloyds. So
Yes.
Lloyds, who was, talking about, let's do AI for data engineering. Accidentally, this was in this month,
no.
last month now. It's the
No.
1st of April now.
Yep.
This is not an April Fool's thing. On March 12th, revealed that they may have exposed the data of almost 500,000 people. 500,000.
Lordy.
So this was customers of Lloyds Banking Group, Bank of Scotland, and Halifax.
Yeah.
And this was due to a software glitch. They pushed this kind of overnight update
Yep.
to the app. And as a result, some customers were able to see the transactions of other people.
Ooh.
Now, this actually means non-Lloyds customers. Like
Yeah.
if you're a Lloyds, a Lloyds customer,
Yeah.
and you've done a transaction with, say, someone from another bank
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
As long as you're the Lloyds customer, a different Lloyds customer is going to be able to see it.
Yeah.
As a result of this. So Lloyds said 114,182 customers clicked on transactions that were not theirs, meaning they may have accessed the data of other users. This data includes account details, national insurance numbers, and payment references. And as I said, this includes non-Lloyds customers.
And the thing is, it only takes like one of those
Yeah.
things to be a bad actor.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you there are bad people who have access to Lloyds of London. I mean, it is Lloyds.
And don't get me wrong, I will disclose that this is not the same as if, 450,000, because the exact number was, 447,936 customers.
Yeah.
This is not the same as if 450,000 people were hacked and listed on the dark web.
Yep.
Because, I guarantee you a majority of these people are going to go, that's weird. Or are going to go, I don't want to look at that because it's not my information.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's going to be a handful of people who are going to go, I can get something out of this. And that handful of people are going to have access to one other person's at least. All of a sudden, you've got a serious data incident in your hands.
Your threat surface just expanded
Yeah.
exponentially.
Yeah. So Lloyds has actually paid compensation to some customers
Yeah.
over this. So far, well, at the time of writing, which was earlier this week, it was 3,625 customers that had been compensated. And the total value was £139,000, which is roughly just under 270,000 Australian.
Yeah, not insignificant.
No, and the Information Commissioner's Office in the UK was notified within 72 hours. However, Treasury Committee Chair Meg Hillier emailed Lloyds Banking Group with the subject line, this is great, improper disclosure of individuals' account information. She said, on the face of it, this is an alarming breach of data confidentiality. And she's right.
I mean, it's no lie.
Yeah. So Lloyd's CEO of Consumer Relationships, Jasyot Singh, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Sounds right.
I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Jasyot Singh responded, reiterating that the incident was a result of the IT update. And he said, the defect meant that when a customer requested to view their current account transactions, their transaction data was potentially.
It's a good word.
Yeah, we should start using it.
Yeah.
Potentially. I did it again. Potentially visible to other customers who were simultaneously, within small fractions of a second, requesting access to their own transactions. Singh said that the bank is currently reviewing how the defect in the code got past quality assurance and testing.
Yeah.
And he said, based on our assessment of this incident, we have not identified evidence that customers have suffered financial loss, and no customer has reported a financial loss arising from the incident at this stage.
Yeah.
Accordingly, we have not made compensation payments on this basis.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's so many moving parts to that one. Like, one, it's accidental. It's a leak, not a breach.
Yeah.
It's not malicious.
It's a breach. It's not a hack. Is what I would word it
yeah.
at.
I mean,
think a breach is.
We could talk about the nomenclature.
Yeah, it's
here
all
day.
semantics.
Yeah. But there's been nothing malicious behind it, except for what someone may have done if they'd gotten hold of some of that data accidentally. Then they might have done something.
Yeah. Well, if you're getting
malicious
account
downstream.
information,
yeah,
that's stuff that you can use
you could,
pretty maliciously
somehow. Yeah.
You know. So.
But this is the age of big data. How you use that data matters, and the wrong bit of data in the wrong spot leaves you open to exactly this kind of thing.
Yeah.
While Lloyds Bank is doing great work over here, the right hand's doing great. The left hand, well, it's not doing quite so great.
This is the kind of first time we've gone, let's talk about this. Let's come back.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of a twist for you guys.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, a quick local bit of news. Scams cost Aussies for the first time more than 2 billion.
Not the first time.
No, it's not actually. No, actually, it's a reduction, but 2 billion is still a lot of money. 2 billion in 2025.
Yes.
And I don't want to spend too long on this because I want to use this as a segue into the next thing. But so this is new data from the ACCC.
Yeah. So they've gotten this data from the National Anti-Scam Centre, who cited ScamWatch, Report Cyber, the Australian Financial Crimes Exchange, ID Care, and ASIC, so Australian Securities and Investments Commission. So this is all like pretty widespread data. And this found that Australians reported scams across all of those agencies 481,523 times. Roughly half, over half, 274,577 resulted in financial losses.
Yeah. I mean, the numbers here are staggering, and if you want to know more about them, the headline of the article is "Scams Cost Australians Over 2 Billion in 2025," says ACCC. So the reason I think those figures are interesting, and I want to talk about this in a very specific way, the AFP-led Joint Threat Financing Group has basically said, beware of charities. Not because of charities, but because terrorist groups are posing as charities to gather money from you. And right now, with so much stuff happening around the world, especially in the Middle East, where you might think there are those worse off than yourself you might want to throw money to, well, guess what? Terrorist groups are aware of that, and they're actively posing as charities. This is what AFP Assistant Commissioner Stephen Nutt said. Terrorist organisations pretend to be charities is a long-standing tactic used to con people out of their money and fund terrorist activity. These terror groups don't care how they get financial support or if they exploit the goodwill of ordinary people. If you're donating money, make sure it's to an established and registered charity that is running verified appeals. And they're doing this right now.
Yeah.
As you said, like, this is a long-standing thing. Every time, this is one of the things that I kind of dislike, find resentful, have issues with, since covering this as a beat as a journalist, is realizing just how terrible some people are. Every time there's a natural disaster within days, scammers taking advantage of natural disaster. And this is really, really no different. But this is kind of even more complex, because not only if you fall victim to one of these scams, are you losing money? Not only if you fall victim to one of these scams, are you giving your money to a terrorist group?
Yeah.
You could also be breaking sanctions-related laws.
Yeah.
So that becomes wholly complex. And yeah, you're innocent. You didn't know otherwise.
No.
Nonetheless, you are now bound up in a really, really complex web of legality,
where you've
of morality.
accidentally supported terrorists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you just think you're trying to give kids some food a day or
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible, but I think it's something that we need to talk about because at the moment the world is a weird place, is a dark place. We might think, as I do often, I need to find more charities to give to, especially now that I don't know about you. So again, another tangent. I used to carry a lot of change in my pockets, notes, wallets, so I could give to people on the street who needed it. I haven't carried money in like 2 years.
I don't even carry a wallet. I use my
Yes.
phone for
Yeah,
my
exactly.
transactions.
So now I'm thinking, well, I should be paying more attention to charities.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not alone in that. But I think the scammers are aware of that as well. In a cashless society, people like you and I who want to give are probably now more liable to be giving to the wrong people.
Well, I actually find what you might actually see is that a lot of people in the street carry card readers now, or you can actually do it on your phone. So that is kind of how it's evolved. It's a weird little.
I've not seen that yet, but also I'm kind of about it.
Yeah, there,
Yeah.
there was a guy on the train who I occasionally see on my route, and he
Yeah.
came up and he was saying that he was looking for a place to sleep. He
Yeah,
found
yeah.
a place to sleep for I think it was $40 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I'm not super rich or anything like that, so I gave what I could.
Gave what you could. Yeah.
Which was good. And I see him. I had a chat with him at one point. Well, when I donated the money, I said, "Hey, look, I don't have cash. I've transferred you," because he had like his account details.
Yeah.
And then I think he had like a tap thing
Yep,
on his
yeah,
phone.
Yeah.
And so I transferred him, and he's been through it. This guy, and it's good to be able to do that kind of thing if you can. But going back to
But
the
no,
context,
I don't think I don't think we've deviated there much at all. I mean, so years ago when we went from Cybersecurity Connect to Cyber Daily, we were told we needed to have the digital transformation section on the website.
Yeah.
Which you and I might have gone, it's a PT, don't listen to this, and I apologize if you do. Might have been a little bit wanky. However, you know what digital transformation is? People in the street
well, yeah,
giving you their banking details so you can transfer money or carrying a little park.
yeah, digital transformation gets that's about half of what we write about these days.
It is,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So PT, you were right.
yeah, it's just not in ways that we even thought. So
I'm scoring
bravo,
points.
I guess.
I'm scoring points there.
Yeah, right. Well, I see what you're doing. Anyway, to go back to the story, and to what we're talking about, how you might not just be losing money, but breaking the law. Providing funds to or receiving them from a terrorist organization carries a maximum penalty of 25 years in prison, whereas financing a terrorist or terrorist activity directly could lead to a maximum penalty of life behind bars. Now, I'm pretty sure you could stand up there in the dock and go, I gave it to a dude in the street.
Yeah.
It looked like I was giving something to Red Cross.
Yeah, I'm sure
or
there's some intention.
You're probably
involved in that.
not going to get life. However, you've got to be aware, that's the severity of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Which I just think is what an exciting time to be alive.
Oh yeah, where you
Yeah.
could accidentally be supporting terrorists.
I was
Out
about
of
to
the
laugh.
kindness
and I'm
of your
choosing-
heart,
And I'm
weirdly.
choosing to laugh because the opportunity, the other choice is to cry on the pod.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I'm sure there's going to be more opportunities later in the year to do that one. We're going to take a short break and desperately try and find some good news for the week. We'll be back shortly. And welcome back to Cyber Uncut. This is the section where we try and find some good news. And you know what? I think we have.
I think we've
Some
actually done it.
unalloyed, unless we screw up and find some non-silver lining to all of this. However, here is the thing. The Office of the Australian Information Commissioner has released an exposure draft of a new version of the Child's Online Privacy Code.
Privacy.
No, privacy
Privacy
code.
code. Privacy
code. We're doing great.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that we're both about, actually. In fact, I'm going to just dive straight into what the Privacy Commissioner, Carly Kind, said. Children play, learn, socialize, and connect with family and culture online. It's important that children can participate without fear or exploitation. The code will give confidence to parents that the apps, games, and websites their children use are taking steps to protect children's privacy. Now, there's a whole range of revisions here, but it's all about actually giving the kids a bit of power in what they do.
The responsibility of this, as you'd expect and as should be done, is on online services.
Oh yeah, first of all, it's like it must be in the best interest. Everything you do must be in the best interest of the kids you are.
But yes, I believe that this kind of legislation actually might be in a bit of a response to games like Roblox, where, it's a high child population.
Yeah.
You're going to get people who are quite predatory on there, which is a really, really horrible kind of reality. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's a reality. So, yeah, these are the kind of platforms this is probably there to target.
Yeah. The exposure draft, Kind says, raises the standard for privacy protections in Australia, puts the onus on online services to do better when handling children's personal information online. And it's all about giving the kids the option to opt in and opt out, to make sure that the user license agreements are written in a way that a child can understand.
What I like about this is I feel like compared to the social media ban, it's not about punishing kids for being online, which is kind of how you and I view it. This is more about giving them some power.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, unlike the social media ban, the Children's Online Privacy Code, which is what this is called, applies to everyone under 18
Yes.
in any digital space or online service, not just social media apps like Instagram.
This feels like a much clearer piece of not quite legislation. It's a code.
Yeah.
It's not an act.
But it means
two
like
different things.
You're a 16. You've just turned 16.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You can now use Instagram and Facebook or whatever. This still applies because we want your safety. It's not about saying you can't do this. It's we want everything else to work around you so you can do this.
Yeah. And before we sign off, which we must soon because there is a lineup to the studio apparently. I'm going to give the last word to Sarah Davies, the CEO of the Alana and Madeline Foundation. Now, the Alana and Madeline Foundation was set up and named after two children who lost their lives in the Port Arthur massacre, which is a piece of old history to some Australians. It's not for me, but I find it interesting that they're still around and they're still paying attention to how do we protect our kids in whatever platform they might find themselves. Sarah Davies said, by requiring platforms to prioritize the well-being of children over data-driven profits, we are finally seeing the systemic accountability that parents and educators have been demanding. We welcome this code and call for clear penalties for non-compliance. We are eager to ensure that the regulator is fully resourced and has the support to bring these protections to life. It is no small task to change the way the tech industry handles children's data, but with the rise of generative AI and other digital technologies, we cannot afford not to do it. I cannot find any fault with what's being said there. That seems clear-eyed to me. It says, kids are online, can't stop them. Let's protect them while they're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a good news story.
It is. It's a really good one. That was written by Bethany, our colleague.
Yeah, bravo.
Yeah.
We will have Bethany back on the podcast shortly. Oh, God, today, just quickly before we go away, we were teaching Bethany a little bit about the dark web, and she's very excited to do crimes. No, write about crimes. Write about crimes. So that's going to be a great thing for you and me, Dan, to take her through that world.
Absolutely.
However, I believe that's all we have for today. So, just quickly, the Australian Cyber Summit and Australian Cyber Awards are coming up. We'll just leave it there.
Buy
nice
tickets.
And subtle. Buy tickets. Meet us. Tell us how terrible the podcast is. We don't care.
Yeah.
We actually care. Tell us you like
Quite
it. It'll
a lot.
be really great. But otherwise, you can find us on Cyber Daily. You can find us on AI Daily. We actually have another site that might be popping up shortly. Let's just keep that quiet right now. Didn't hear it
you're
here
first to hear about
at
it.
all. No, we just keep it quiet. Just keep it quiet.
Okay.
It'll be
You didn't hear about it.
FST.
Ooh.
You can subscribe to our newsletters. You can find us online on various social medias, and we'll be back next week. We hope all of you have a great Easter break. Thank you very much.
See ya.